What do you see?
Your daughter. The park.
Wasn't paying attention. Just for a second.
Work.
Think I'm ready for duty.
Alright, so the other day I saw this very interesting movie called Hypnotic. And I kind of had like a weird experience with it because while watching this movie, I didn't really have any like real criticisms of the movie they released, but it was kind of more like the potential that they didn't go after. I didn't see any real issue with the music or the acting or the whatnots with this movie. Probably my only real big issue is the last like 10 to 5 minutes of the movie. It kind of feels like they ran out of money and they just had to wrap it up really quick. I didn't hate the ending, but I just would have wanted the ending to have resolved a little bit more smoother than it did. Best example is this probably would have been a far better TV series than it would have movie, with the understanding that like they didn't drag it on, because you can always ruin a TV show by having too many episodes. But before I get too far into it, the general premise of this movie is that Ben Affleck plays a Austin police officer or Austin detective, and he gets a seemingly ordinary bank robbery call, and when he goes to answer it, things are not acting right, and things are not as they should be appearing as. Things are not right with everything going on. This does not seem like an ordinary robbery, and it pulls him into this like rabbit hole of like this secret like underground world of people called hypnotics, and you have like psychic abilities everywhere, and so it's kind of a really cool premise. We've seen kind of premises like this in other movies, but a little bit of like an X-Men vibe almost, but not quite. Definitely a flavor of like Firestarter. Definitely a lot of flavor of Firestarter, especially like with the government agencies and whatnot. I'm trying to be vague about this movie so that I don't spoil too much for you. But yeah, no, I had a lot of fun with this movie. When it was over, I was like, yeah, no, I enjoyed that. But the thing was that, like, in this movie, there was so much potential that they never went after. Like, the idea of someone being forced against their will to kill someone that they love. Like, they could have really played around with that. And some of the other things they were playing around with, it's like, no, there's potential here. You guys should have gone down that hallway. That would have been an interesting movie. But instead, the story does have a little bit of a paint-by-numbers aspect to it. I won't say that this is a formulaic, generic movie, because there's a couple of good twists and turns that happen throughout the movie, that a few of which did catch me by surprise, and, so that had that going for it, but it kind of felt like when the movie was over, it's like, I kind of felt left wanting more. And yeah, you could say, well, the movie was a success, but it felt like there were certain aspects of the movie that should have been explored that were never explored. And so that was an issue that I had. One thing I did find funny, though, is like there's this entire sequence that happens in Mexico. It is so obvious that they were inspired by Inception for this sequence. It's like very, very obvious. It's like, yeah, no, someone clearly liked Inception and wanted to make their own version of Inception. Now, do I think the sequence doesn't work because of it? No, it's a fun sequence. I absolutely loved it, but it's just a little obvious at some points in this movie that they really wanted to do Inception, but they couldn't. So I kind of thought that was funny. The cast is really stellar, even with some of the like brief blink and you're missing cameos. I mean, like Rorschach's in this, Jeff Fahey's in this. I mean, there's like a couple of like cameos in this. It's like, oh shit, I didn't know that guy was in it. And so like that was kind of fun. I mean, overall, Ben Affleck does a pretty decent job for a Robert Rodriguez film. I enjoyed it. It's kind of unfortunate that at the time of this recording, it's not doing well at the theater because they didn't advertise it. Like, seriously, there's one poster out there and, like, one trailer that was released. And that's it. That's, like, all the advertising this movie got. So, like, yeah, it's not surprising that this movie isn't doing well because no one knows what the hell this movie is. So, anyway, that was just a quick little review of Hypnotic. I had fun with it. I think I probably will buy it. It's a fun hour and a half of escapism. Turn off your brain, have fun, and that's kind of all I'm asking for movies these days. So, until next time, my name is Christopher Connell with 11 Hour Reviews. That's been my review of the movie Hypnotic starring Ben Affleck, and that will be all for today.